on the call with all the DC guys at 8?
At 8, yeah. I think I'm be able to get on there.
Oh,
We
okay.
just had some guys come on campus, man, so I didn't know how that was gonna go.
Oh, okay. Some of your players?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just finally. So.
That's good. Keep them young men safe.
Right. Got all the precautions.
Felicia. See if she's there.
Hey. I am here.
Awesome. Well, listen, people are still coming. They're having a little trouble with the password, but we'll take care of that. They'll keep texting me, and I'll keep giving it to them. But we do want to begin because we want to be respectful of your time. Okay, and we are just so excited to have you on tonight. I've been talking to this group and telling them all about you. So everybody's excited. We got a couple new people to the Living Trophy Zoom. So if we could mute our mics, and we're going to get started here. Tonight we have a powerful powerhouse person in our business, in our industry. I have had the privilege of getting to know her over the last couple of years, right, Felicia?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of mutual friends. And I can be very, very candid and very honest with you. I have been pursuing her, because I see her work, and I know that it's the right type of work and what I wanted to be associated with and wanted to be affiliated with. So through our mutual friends, Rob Lanier, Cliff Warren, C. Wybe, Stan, I have been pursuing Felicia to have the opportunity to join and learn from her in what she's involved with. And I had the privilege of being asked to speak this year. Was going to be this year down in Charlotte for her A Step Up program. But during the pandemic, obviously, we had to go a different route. But she still asked me to come on and do a Zoom with Coach Lynn Dunn, and it was a great opportunity for me. And I can't thank her enough for giving me that opportunity. But more important than anything else, our connection grew. The mutual respect that we have for each other grew from there, and our level of communication and connectivity grew from there. And the more I learned, the more I understood, and the more I wanted to be a part of all the things that she is doing, because the things that she's doing in this industry for us and I say that the things that she's doing for us in this industry, more people need to get involved in, and more people need to understand and learn and become a part of the things that she's doing. Felicia Hall Allen is a powerful force in our business. She is a president and CEO of Felicia Hall Allen and Associates, and the founder of A Step Up Incorporated. She is also a business partner with Baseline Performance. She is a motivational speaker, a lawyer, and she represents close to 50. Correct me if that number is low or is around that number, Felicia. 50 or more, or Division I coaches and Division I and Division II coaches, and her reach is far and wide. And so, without further ado, we want to welcome Felicia Hall Allen to Living Trophies Zoom classroom. So thank you so much for coming on, and the microphone is yours. And I just do want to say to you, this tribe of mine has a tremendous vibe, and you'll be able to feel it in a second.
You know what, Kevin, I first want to thank you for being just such a servant leader. When people say, be the change you want to see, what I respect about you is that you lead the change you want to see. And that means a lot. And I believe that everything happens according to God's time. And so the timing is right. The time is now. And I'm grateful that God allowed our paths to cross. Before I get started, I'm going to ask each person to share with me one word you would use to describe Living Trophy. Just one word that you would use to describe Living Trophy based on your engagement or interaction. And if you haven't been engaged and this is your first time with Living Trophy, one word to describe Kevin Sutton, since he's the person who's inviting us into his living room. So I'd like to start with Mike Lopez.
Valuable.
Thank you. Chris Cole.
Inspiring.
Thank you. Lamont Franklin, who I really value and appreciate, and thank you for your ongoing and constant support of A Step Up, and Felicia Hall Allen and Associates.
Absolutely. I would say servant.
Thank you. Ryan Cardock.
I would say giving.
Thank you. Kelly.
Forward thinking.
Pete. Chris Cheeks.
Intellect.
Jermaine Johnson.
Transformational leader.
Kyle.
Connector.
Would you say connector?
Connector.
Thank you, Kyle. Sam.
Motivating.
Sharni.
Stimulating.
Brandon.
Mentor.
Good to see you again, Brandon.
It's great to see you as well. Hope all's good on your end as well.
It is. Bill Fisher.
Role model.
Yeah, I love the use of every word that you all threw out. And I think that when I started to think a little bit about what I would share in the Living Trophy, I said I would treat it more like a living room type conversation where I would just share with you. I reached out to Lamont and said, so you've been at the Living Trophy several times. What do you think is most valuable for people to hear? And so I took my cue from Lamont. So Lamont, thank you very much for just kind of steering me. Kevin said, Felicia, talk about whatever you'd like to talk about because I'm sure it'll be fine. So I would like to start first by just kind of sharing with you all 3 things I think you need to do in order to elevate your status. 3 things I think you need to do. How best to use your platform to elevate your status. How best to use your platform to elevate your status. Number 1, I think that you have to first identify 3 things that will separate you. You need to identify 3 things that will separate you from everybody else in the business. So what are your separators? If you read Kevin Eastman's book, where he talks about different words, I think he puts 25 words out there. And he says that there are 25 words that separate the great players from those who are good. So moving from good to great. 3 things that separate you. If I was thinking about myself and the nature of my business, 1, I say that I live to help make other people's dreams come true. So what are my separators? First of all, I represent coaches. I do motivational training and speaking. We do team building. And I also get to be a part of professional development for coaches. The 3 things that separate me: 1, I know that not every agent has a law degree. I have a law degree. What does a law degree communicate to people? Without even knowing anything about me, they know I can read, write, talk, and think. Separator. 2, I've worked for trusted brands: NCAA, Olympics, Nike, WNBA. Separators. 3, I host my own event. So rather than waiting for someone else to set the table for me, I come to the table with food because you gotta eat. So separators: law degree, trusted brands, host my own event. When you start to think about the things that separate you from everybody else, you should be able to identify 3 things that make you uniquely who you are and authentically who you are. Mike, I heard you say before we got started that you host a podcast.
Right.
I'd like for you to tell me 3 things that separate you from most other people that share with us at the Living Trophy.
I'm thoughtful with the questioning. Like I care about the people first and their position or whatever, statute or wherever they're at in life. I don't really care about that. I care about them, whether they're a head coach, an assistant coach, a video coordinator, Dobo. None of that matters to me. I care about the person. And so my questioning is based on that.
Okay. One thing that you think separates you from everybody else, Lamont?
I would say that I have a humble spirit, in that I've time and time again shown my ability to operate and work and live without any preconceived notions of status or anything along those lines, and being humble to do whatever I can to serve others.
Got it. Sam, what about you?
I would say my initiative, just being able to just step outside my role whenever it's needed, having the mission really in mind and doing what needs to be done to accomplish that, and being empathetic to my teammates and just getting the goal done.
Got it. Got it. So the other thing, all really good things. I really need you all to be thinking about things that separate you from everybody else. I think that you're in one place in your career right now, but I would venture to say that most people are always looking for ways to elevate to the next level, take that step up. And if you are going to do so, you have to be able to talk about you in a way that makes people want to buy whatever it is that you sell or however it is that you live. And in order to do that, you've got to have some attributes about yourself that make you uniquely different than everybody else. And of course, you can go more into detail about those things, but I need you to be thinking about those things now. The other thing I think that's important is relative to professional development, leadership development, and emotional intelligence. So I operate in threes: leadership development, personal professional development, and I think emotional intelligence, networking. So relative to personal professional development, I don't know when is the last time that you all have, beyond the evaluation that your head coach offers you, have you ever done a 360 evaluation that you were the creator of? So have you ever asked at least 10 people that you work with to assess your talent, skill, and set? You know why a lot of people don't do it? Like with coaching, coaches give instruction and feedback, but they don't like receiving it. In order to grow and get better, I think that one of the things that I like to do is really evaluate where I am. I think that that becomes really important. They call that self-awareness. It's an emotional intelligence skill, self-awareness. People who are self-aware have an opportunity to be able to self-correct as well, or they will seek training in order to get better in the places where they need to be able to grow. When you don't like to self-evaluate or correct or be aware, then that means that you stay stagnant a lot longer than you probably should. What might a 360 assessment look like? Some of the questions that might be there might include like, please rate yourself with regards to how you interact with people. Are you able to keep control of your emotions and behavior even when involved in high pressure situations? Are you highly ethical? Do you act professional? Do you learn from your mistakes? Other things that you might have as a part of your 360 sort of evaluation might also include leadership questions like, do you inspire continuous growth and learning in others? How do you handle conflict in an appropriate manner? Do you? How are you at taking initiative to solve problems? How are you at motivating others? Another area where you could ask people to assess you, you're with communication. Do you communicate effectively and continuously? Do you listen to what others have to say, or are you always waiting for your chance to say something? Do you share your opinions even when they are unpopular? Do you express disagreement earlier than later? Do you make others feel safe in honestly expressing themselves? I think that by being willing to ask people to honestly evaluate you, then I think what it also helps you with is when you ask someone for a reference or you want to find out about a job and you want to know what people are going to say about you when you're not there, it might give you a more honest evaluation of what people might be saying about you. But it also allows you to ask yourself some questions and to figure out where those gaps are and where you have an opportunity to grow. Why is emotional intelligence important? I heard Matt Doherty say several years ago, we all know he did a great job at Notre Dame, and then he became the head coach at North Carolina. And I heard him say to a group of head coaches, had I learned a little bit more about emotional intelligence, I might still be the coach at North Carolina, because I would have operated with a completely different level of self-awareness. I went in thinking I knew everything and my way was the right way, and other people needed to adjust and adapt to who I was, rather than me going in and adapting to the new environment that I was in and becoming aware of what was going on around me. The other thing I think that's important in terms of emotional intelligence becomes social awareness. So social awareness. And what is social awareness? I think I heard Kevin saying on the front end, he was talking about networking and how important it is to network. I hope you extend or enlarge your I am big on enlarging territory. When I start to think about it, I like to think about it in terms of lifelines. And there are 7 lifelines that I think that you all should have if you want to elevate your status. So this is how best to use your platform to elevate your status. 7 lifelines. When you start to think about, people start talking about how you need to build your board of directors. You should have, like if you were doing a matrix for what your board of directors look like, here are the categories that you should have in your personal board matrix. 1, trailblazers. Do you have anybody who's been a trailblazer? Why? Because that's a person who operates with courage. They are a courageous leader and a thinker. They're willing to take risks. At some point in your career, you're going to need to be able to do the exact same thing, and having them to lean on would be a tremendous value for you. There are some things that you can learn, but there are also some things that trailblazers do that they probably won't repeat if they had a chance to do it all over again. 2, role models. I read somewhere that if you have a role model in your life, you increase the likelihood of your earning potential by at least 10% by having a role model. A role model is a person who you aspire to become. I didn't say a mentor, but a role model. That's somebody you're watching. You pay really close attention to. When I've had role models, I even pay attention to when they speak, when they don't speak, how they dress, what they look like. I pay attention to when they're in the company of other people, do people approach them? I watch not just whether or not they're winning and losing, but I also watch their disposition, their mannerisms. I also like to watch, like I said, how people react and respond to them. What I did when I first got started in my business, I identified like 5 people whose lives I really admired and respected. And I said, one day I would love to be them. So I remember thinking about my law school professor. There were certain attributes and characteristics about him that I really respected and admired. I looked at someone else who was in the motivational speaking industry, and I watched how she engaged people and how people responded and reacted to her, the kind of lifestyle she lived. I wanted to have that. My college coach was also a role model for me. I watched how she dressed. I loved the fact that she was in sports, but she was always such a lady. And how people responded to the fact that even though she was in athletics, there was no doubt about it. She was married, she had kids, she had a family, and she made us understand that they were also a priority. And it was important for me to be able to see that modeled in real time. So having role models, I think, is important. 3, mentors. I think you absolutely should have a mentor. You should have multiple, more than one mentor. So the way that it works in this industry, people want to know who's your coaching tree. There's a lot of value in that coaching tree. If you fall from the right tree, you can get almost any job. Thought leaders. Kevin Sutton is a thought leader in this industry. He is a thought leader is a person who's forward thinking. They get out ahead of things before they happen. They set trends, they don't follow trends. A thought leader is a person who, because of their willingness to read, engage, and reflect, they are very perceptive and offer great advice. But also, they're people that you can follow. 4, informants. Informants. I like informants because they know what's going to happen before it happens, and they don't mind sharing it, telling it, and sowing seeds. Kind of like you think about detectives. They always have informants. Those are people who are in your network who always know the no before the no is known. You need to have them on your board. Sponsors. A sponsor is a person who's going to get you to the table. That's the person who's going to get you to the table. There are a lot of environments that you all will never have an opportunity to enter, not because you're not capable, not because you're not competent, not because you lack charisma, but you just didn't have the right person inviting you. When you've been on the road recruiting, you see how people break up and they go in different little groups. You can go if you have the right person sponsoring you to say, hey, yo, my man Chris coming with me tonight. They don't have to ask because your sponsor is the person who got you to the table. You need to have a promoter. That's 7, promoters. Promoters are people who talk you up. They're your hype man. So you see a lot of rappers have hype men or women on the stage with them before they come on, or TV hosts. When you go to a TV talk show, when I've gone, they have like a hype person that gets us ready so that when Kevin Sutton hits the stage, we are absolutely going ballistic because they have primed. It's kind of like priming the pump. So promoters are people who talk about you. They talk you up. They speak you up. All somebody has to do is say basketball and they're throwing your name out. Kind of like dropping names. So Sharni, your promoter is the person who, no matter what circle they're in, somebody says, hey, do you know blah, blah, blah? Yeah, you know what I know. But hey, do you know Sharni, blah, blah, blah? 7 people, lifelines, trailblazers, role models, mentors, thought leaders, informants, sponsors, promoters. So if you were going to develop a board, have 2 people of each on your board. That gives you close to 15. So that's a really good number to have in terms of people who are supporting you. As it relates to your network, I got advice for that. So when it comes to the networking thing, 5 pieces of advice. Get to know the support staff. Like you got a dream job or a dream place or on your own campus, a lot of people dismiss the support staff people when they are some of the most powerful, influential people on campus. I like to think of them like the minority partners in the organization. They're not the ones out front, but they're the ones who make it go. Second, I would like to say there's no substitute for competence. I don't care how cute you are, how fast you talk. Eventually, people find you out. So you need to make sure that from a networking standpoint, that you take advantage of the different mediums that exist. LinkedIn is gonna post at least 30 to 50 different articles every day. All you have to do is go on LinkedIn and people will feed you. Facebook isn't a place that I go to be fed information, but there are a number of different places. So I would find out while networking, what are head coaches reading? What books are they reading? I know like CEOs read Fast Company. If you ever get to fly first class on a plane, take a look. When people are pulling out books, you see them reading, sometimes even just up, hey, what are you reading? You're on the plane, you're trapped, what are you reading? When you're out on the road recruiting, what are you reading? Because simply by asking the question, what are you reading? It opens the door for you now to start a conversation with someone, and now you get to share with them something you've been reading which means you might be making a deposit into them. So it's a give and take sort of relationship. Networking, third thing. Handwritten notes. Handwritten notes. I didn't say don't text me. Don't send me an email. I mean, you can, but I'll tell you the person I'm going to remember. The one who sends me a handwritten note. You want to know why? Because we don't get a lot of handwritten notes. You get at least 30 to 50 emails a day. I don't know how many text messages you get, but when you go to the mailbox, you got bills, sales papers, and not a lot of handwritten notes. So right now, I bet you can tell me right now the last person who sent you a handwritten note. Bill Fisher. Who's the last person that sent you a handwritten note?
It was a soccer coach from Cal.
Thank you.
Hey, Felicia,
yes.
Real fast. Bill Fisher was the last person to send me a handwritten note today, and he sent me a book. This is how the Living Trophy works. Thank you so much, Bill.
There we go. You're welcome.
I love it. Thank you. Chris, you got that? I mean, Bill, you got that down. Chris Cheeks, last person to send you a handwritten note.
Frank Hayes.
Yeah. Kelly, you remember the last person who sent you a handwritten note?
I do. It was my high school head coach, winningest football coach in Maryland history, Bob Malloy. Old fashioned, loved it.
Did you get it today? When did you receive it?
No, I didn't receive that for probably a year ago.
Chris, when's the last time you got yours?
About a couple of months ago, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Girlfriend's mom.
A couple of months ago. Bill, when was the last time you got yours?
Mine was in May.
Okay. It's July. Tomorrow is August, and they still remember it. But if I ask you, can you tell me, give me 25 people who sent you an email last week, and what was it about? We know you've gotten at least 250 emails since last week, right? You said May last year, last month. So I guess I just wanted to prove the point. My law professor used to say that handwritten notes is a lost art. Lamont said that one of his separators is that he's humble. A separator could be the art and act of consideration. Bill Fisher is a very considerate person. He thinks about others before himself. If you're a head coach and you're looking to hire an assistant, wouldn't you want a considerate person on your staff who thinks about you first? So the fourth thing on my list is something that Bill did. Generosity, generosity, generosity. Kevin didn't ask him to send a book. He thought that it might be something that Kevin would enjoy, and so he chose to share it. I'm talking about how do you elevate your status based on where you are right now. It's called servant leadership. Servant leadership. Seek first to serve. I believe that everybody on this call has something that you can offer to other people, and it doesn't have to be something that you buy. It could be information, it could be a resource, it could be your time or expertise. And then the last thing is, don't be the best kept secret in the business. Don't be the best kept secret in the business. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. Mike, I got really excited when you talked about your podcast and you talked about the creative concept around your podcast. Podcasts, social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's LinkedIn. I mean, it's there for a reason. They call it social media for a reason. It's a social platform. And some people say, oh, I'm not really into that. If you're not into it, then you better get a young person who is your daughter, your son, their friend, an intern, a manager, and just put yourself out there. Because the one thing that I've learned is I don't care how good you are. If nobody knows you, you're not getting the job because nobody knows you. So I'm going to stop right there. And I think that I will just kind of open it up and let you all ask questions. Lamont shared with me that what you all really like knowing is how to take advantage of where you are right now beyond the basketball. And so what I was trying to do is to share things that are living, breathing, moving, to help you. I think one of the other things when I talked about development, leadership development. I don't know if you've ever heard of this program called the Master Class. The Master Class. If you haven't, Google it. They have all of these different people who have been very successful. Oprah does one that's free that you can go back and watch on YouTube. She's had Jay-Z, Usher, Gladys Knight. She's had Shaq. She's had Grant Hill. And then there's another one on a business side that's a master class. They've even had Steph Curry. They've had Iger, the CEO of Disney, talking about leadership. They have master classes on the art of negotiation. There are all of these different skills out there. And you say, Felicia, why do I need to do that? Because until I see you at the Final Four standing on a podium, what did you master? Until you get that ring for winning your conference championship, what have you mastered? Oh, I saw your name on that list, the top 25 recruiters in the nation. Then what have you mastered? Oh, I'm so sorry. They're always asking you to be the clinician at these different clinics. What have you mastered? So I think it becomes really important to grow and to be willing to stretch how you currently think. That's what leaders do. Leaders set the tone. And in order to do that or be that, you gotta be around that in order to be able to take it in. Masterclass. One is free, one costs a little bit money. Either way, you need to be able to figure out which one you'd like to be able to participate in. Kevin's creating a masterclass here with Living Trophy for you. So this is an example of what a masterclass looks like. The different episodes or the different sessions that he's putting together. And I'm sure there are other people out there doing the same thing relative to master classes. If I were you, I would learn a new trait or skill, a new skill every month. I wouldn't just go through a pandemic, I would grow through this pandemic. And in order to do that, you have time now that you could take a class at a community college in something you wanted to learn. You could take an online class. I would think about an area of the game. I would say that, like they already saying, basketball season might not start until January. If that is the case, and say the coach has said, I'm the person who is the master on our staff around the offensive side of the basketball, then I'm gonna have master classes on offense. And by the time we get back together, my head coach would be so blown away. He or she would be like, I wish Corona would have came a little sooner if I would have known I would get this out of you. So I've been doing a lot of talking. I think I've made several deposits if you wanted to kind of think about how to stretch and grow. Kevin, we can open it up for questions.
Absolutely. The first question, Kelly Flannery, Good Counsel High School.
Put me on the spot there, Coach. I got you. Felicia, first of all, thank you very much for sharing with us. A lot of nuggets here. I'm taking a lot of notes. For somebody who's worked in college administration, coaching, kind of bouncing back between the college level and the high school level, what would your advice be for staying sharp? Obviously, things like these, I love participating in these Thursday sessions. I feel like I'm well-rounding myself. Any additional tips you would have for somebody to stay relevant at both levels just to stay ready for the moment?
I like the word relevant and relatable. I like relevant and I also like relatable. And one, congratulations on being able to volley between the two. And the first thing I would say is success is what you define it. I mean, I don't think that one is better than the other. I think that there are people who are at the high school level who are changing lives every single day and putting people on a course to exceed their own expectations by sheer just by being involved or engaged in their lives. So I don't minimize the value of what it is that you bring there. I would say that one of the things that would be really important, I probably would go back to what I said about role models and mentors. I likely would identify 5 that are currently not on my radar, 5 people who are currently not on my radar. And I would make it my business to know them between now and next July. And I would just reach out to them and let them know how much I respect them and what they do. And then I would say when the pandemic lifts, I would love to be able to meet you. But in the meantime, is it possible that we schedule a 15-minute Zoom call?
Amen. Thank you very much.
And the people have been a lot more open to giving time away via Zoom because it keeps their mind sharp and allows them to challenge the way that they think, but it also reminds them of who they are, because you don't have fans chasing you down at the tailgate, and you don't have, people standing in line for your autograph. What they have now is people who are thirsty and hungry for knowledge, reaching out to them to connect.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you have anybody has any questions, just unmute their mics, introduce themselves.
I have a question. Thank you so much, first off, for all those nuggets you shared. My name is Kyle Getter. I'm at the University of Virginia. I wanted to go back. Something.
What do you do at Virginia, Kyle?
I'm the director of recruiting for men's basketball.
Tina Thompson is one of my clients.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Tina's great. Yeah.
So I've known Carla since she was at Georgia as a women's basketball coach.
That is awesome. Yeah, Carla, we're blessed to have her as in her leadership. So yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I'll have to tell them that I took part in this and connected with you.
Please do.
The question I had is, you mentioned about don't be the best kept secret in the business. And, I've been in coaching now for 20 years. And I think kind of the way I was brought up, I don't know about other people on the call, but it was, be humble, don't be a self-promoter. And you hear other people when they do talk about themselves, sometimes they get labeled as a know-it-all or, an I guy, I did this, I did that. Could you maybe elaborate on that? Maybe some ways that, we could, maybe talk about the successes and things that we've had and through our profession, but at the same time, finding that balance of not sounding like a person who's just so into themselves.
Absolutely. I think that's a great question. I love to promote myself by elevating others. You can hide self-promotion by elevating others. So what you do is every time you all do something great at Virginia, I'd be the first person to highlight it. And I would say, your coach's name is Tony something, right? Every time we did something, what's his last name?
Tony Bennett.
Every time we did something great, I would be Coach Bennett's best promoter. And you know what? I wouldn't just be promoting Coach. I would be saying, we did this, we did that, we accomplished. Virginia Black, so we, because I would want them to know that I was a part of what that success looked like. And the other thing that I would be really intentional about doing is when someone else does something great, I would acknowledge what they did, and then I would share what I did that was very similar to that. I see you guys signed the #1 recruiting class. Last year, we had the #3 class. Man, I was so proud to be a part of that. I know you must be really proud of what you all are doing. Now, I just elevated you, but I also told you a little bit about what we were doing. But I didn't make it about me. I made it about you, and then I showed you how we're connected or how we're similarly situated as it relates to that. The other thing that in terms of promoting yourself is I would volunteer to do certain things that I have a certain area of expertise in. So the way that you self-promote is, Kevin said, Felicia, can you speak at the Living Trophy? Absolutely. I want to make sure y'all know that we do professional development every May. And it is for people who want to, we do 4 things: educate, connect, equip, and inspire. At our next level program last year, we do professional development for aspiring head coaches. You have to have 7 years of coaching experience, college coaching experience to do next level. But at next level, we had 10 executive search firms represented. Daniel Parker himself was there. Gene DeFilippo was there, a former AD at Boston College. We had Bill Carr from Carr and Associates. We had someone from Eastman Bodine. We had a partner from Ventura Sports that only does Power 5 searches. We had 10 executive search firms, 20 athletic administrators. We started an Assistant Coaches Hall of Fame as well. ESPN ran it across their ticker this year. We also, with the Step Up, we create opportunities for those coaches aspiring to be head coaches, several networking opportunities and levels of interaction and engagement for people who are at our Assistant Coaches Symposium. We have some people who don't ever want to be a head coach. They're great at being assistants, and they want to steal as much as they can from those who are great. We have people at all levels that attend a Step Up. I think that sometimes you become a self-promoter by simply showing up, Kyle. You become a self-promoter. Every time you open your mouth to speak on any Zoom call that you're a part of, you should always say your name and the institution that you are associated with. Every time you don't tell people how to find you, you've missed out on a moment. Hi, Kyle, I don't know if your name is Getter or Jeter.
Yeah, it's Getter.
I'm Kyle Getter, University of Virginia, men's basketball, proud 2019 national champions. And then I will say whatever it is I was saying. If I said something 3 times, I can bet you by the end of it, they're gonna be like, you know that Kyle guy, the one that's with Virginia, that won the national championship? Who's
Thank
gonna
you.
be mad? Is it a lie?
No, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Did that answer your question? Did that give you some food for thought?
It did. Yeah, it was very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Chris Cole, you got a question?
Yes. How would you, and I guess both you and Coach Sutton can probably answer this, how would you go about doing either forward-thinking things within the basketball craft or outside, like my man has his podcast, without stepping on anybody's toes?
I'm gonna let Coach Sutton answer first, and then I'll go behind the genius.
Well, hardly a genius, but Chris, what I would recommend to you is being as transparent as you possibly can with the person. In this particular situation, I would say your boss, and say, hey, listen, this is an idea, this is a concept that I have and that I want to do and I want to share, and here's the reasons why. So just being authentic and being as transparent as possible. There are some coaches out there that will say, no, I don't want you to do that, to be able to do a Zoom or whatever. But in the meantime, you can still be thinking about, all these types of things. So when you do have an opportunity to move from this particular coach that you work for that doesn't want you to do that because he wants, his face to name and his voice to be the only voice that's heard. When you move from that, you're prepared, to be able to be as authentic as you possibly can with your original thoughts. Okay. So you're always working on the University of Chris Cole. Always. You're always working on it. And that's not being disloyal. Okay. Because you have to be loyal to who you are first and foremost. Okay. You're not being disloyal by working on your craft. Like Felicia said, this pandemic, every person should be intentional. Now, if we say you use the word selfish, or I'm being selfish about this, then people will look at you as being as a negative connotation. But if you're intentional, and you're intentional about your personal growth, you're intentional about your spiritual growth, you're intentional about your professional growth, who in their right mind is going to want to stop that? Do you as a coach demand your players to get better? well, then you as a coach, okay, should make sure that you are continuously getting better. They should have dreams, but so should you. And you should aspire and chase and go after your dreams equally as well. Because the best example of telling them to work hard, to aspire, and to dream is you doing it. So be intentional about what you want to do.
I echo those sentiments. Intentional is one of my favorite words. If you were to ask anyone who knows me, I would say that as it relates to it, and you know, Lamont, I think you're really good at this. I think you're an idea guy. You can craft a list of ideas that can challenge how people think about things because you've done it with me, and I really appreciate it. And the way that you do it is, Chris, you approach your head coach as well as other head coaches that you respect who may be your mentors. And I would just say, you know what, coach? I've decided that during this pandemic, I want to grow in 3 different areas. Is it okay if every week I run 2 or 3 ideas by you just to get your feedback about them? Every week I would come up with 2 or 3 different ideas that I could present. It wouldn't matter if he shot all 3 of them down every week, because if I'm presenting 3 ideas every week, that's 9 ideas a month. What if he takes 2 of them and they become a part of our program? Now I can claim credit for the 2 things that I offered. I gave him 9, he only took 2. But now what is he gonna say about Chris? Chris, I really like the way you were a forward thinker. You got me to think about some things a little bit differently than the way that I had been thinking about them. Or I could see how that would really benefit the guys on the team. I could see how that would really help boost our alumni, blah, blah, blah. I could see how, and every time you do it, the way that you become a thought leader is you are a curious individual. You are very curious about a number of different things, or there's just one particular area that I want to become a subject matter expert in, and I become very curious about that. I listen to podcasts, I watch YouTube videos, I pick up books, I talk to people who I think are the best at that. And I just use words like this. Chris, I really respect, you know, your ability to do blank, blank, and blank. Can I just pick your brain for a couple of minutes? You know, once a month, can I run a couple of ideas by you? Lamont did that for me with a session that he proposed that we have at our symposium. And I said, well, we really hadn't done that in a while. Tell me, what would it look like? I'll give you a week, come back to me with some. He had like a list of ideas with bullets underneath. Who would be a great speaker at it? He got out ahead of it. So the next time, whenever it is that we decide to do that, who do you think I'm gonna pick up the phone to call? Lamont Franklin. Why? Because he got out ahead of it. Why? I didn't call him and say, what are your ideas? He said, hey, Felicia, I got an idea. Let me run it by you. Lamont, did that happen, right?
Absolutely, it did. And I don't have a question. I actually had 2 questions that were already answered, but I did want to say something and hopefully share with the rest of the group. Felicia, this is, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard you present, whether it be at your symposium, on Zoom calls, whatever it may be. And I will tell you, sitting here tonight, even though you and I connected earlier today and I may have given you a couple of thoughts, you touched on some things and you shared some things that I haven't heard you really go in depth about before. So just your wealth of knowledge in terms of pouring into others is remarkable. And I will tell everybody on this call, if you have the opportunity to follow up with Felicia, please do. If you have the opportunity to attend her symposium when we're able to be back there, please do. And if you do that, just make sure you stop by and you sit through my session and Coach Sutton's session, because the 2 of us will be there promoting. See, I learned something from you tonight, Felicia, right there.
Yeah, you absolutely did. And I will say that Coach Sutton started reaching out to me 8 years ago, and he spoke this year. He started reaching out to me 8 years ago. And then he had 3 people who were his promoters to reach out on his behalf. And then when he got the chance, he knocked it out of the ballpark so far. I had board members coming to me saying, what do we need to do to get him on the board? What do we need to do to make him a permanent part of what we do? What do we need to do to integrate him into what we do? And this was a man who was in pursuit of us. And it wasn't me, he was in pursuit of the platform and what he knew it could do for him and how it could serve other people. And that's what I probably appreciate more than anything else, Lamont, as it relates to that.
Samantha Smith has the question, and then the next will be Coach Brandon Chambers.
And then next will be Sharni after Brandon.
Yep, perfect.
All right, Sam?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, first of all, for being here. I really appreciate your time. So I am Sam Smith, a recent graduate from VCU, their master's program, Center for Sport Leadership. And so I worked with sport operations this year. My question, since I'm first starting out in the industry, is what's the best way to differentiate yourself when you're new to the business, when you're still building that experience and your board of directors? So like after I do the interviews, how do I back up the strengths I discuss when I really don't have the biggest resume and I don't have a huge network? Like, what's the best way do you think I can stand out and kind of show what I talked about, like back up my words with actions?
I think the first thing is not to tell me what you don't have, but to tell me what you do. You do have a lot of things that are going for you, and you need to always leave with what you do have versus what you don't. And I think that a lot of people will find value in what you do have. And then the other thing is that you want to be able to extend your reach beyond VCU. And in order to do that, I would say you need to be attending whatever association for your particular area. You need to attend the Women Sports Leaders Rally that they do. Patty Phillips is the executive director of that group. She and I served on the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame board together. And I think that I attended that event, and just at breakfast one morning was saying that my husband and I were going to be going to Georgetown the next week to do some team building. And I said, we really wanted to go to the White House before President Obama got out. It just wouldn't be the same if we couldn't make it before Obama got out. My congressman couldn't make it happen within the time frame, but I thought it was interesting. I reached out to my congressperson 4 weeks in advance. I was sitting next to Tanya Vogel, who's an associate at George Washington. We hadn't even exchanged names. We were just talking. And she said, Felicia, I can help you with that. I said, you did hear me say we were going next week. She said, yeah, I know somebody. You and your husband's name. Did I say that I just sat next to her for 10 minutes? When you never know who you're going to meet and who or what they have access to. The more people you can talk to, so let's say you did attend that event and you met just 5 people and you had a chance to talk with them about what you do, then you've extended your reach nationally beyond Richmond, Virginia. And you don't talk about what you don't do, you talk about what?
What you do have instead of what you don't have.
Thank you. Yeah.
Amen.
Hey, Felicia, first and foremost, thank you for sharing and continuing to share. This is my second event, quote unquote, that I've attended, and I can't thank you enough for just shedding light. I think just echoing what everyone said, you provide a lot of clarity for us as coaches, because we, to be honest, I think our coaching industry is a tumultuous, crazy, unfair career path in a lot of ways, and you're able to articulate with such clarity for us. So I can't thank you enough, and just the insight that you provided. Second, and then I'll get to my question. KG, Kyle Getter, is not the best kept secret, just for everyone here. And I appreciate Sutton for putting this on, but 11 years ago, I ended up, I was at VCU. I ended up as a student manager for the team, and Kyle Getter was the director of basketball operations. And unfortunately, I lost my father to ALS. And to be, not to sell anything short, but this is the God honest truth. Kyle Getter probably saved my life in a lot of ways. And without KG, I probably would not be in coaching. So
Wow.
I just want to let you know that, and I appreciate you, Kyle. He's someone I continue to reach out to and call. And to be honest, I probably throw a lot of problems his way, and he's one of the most positive human beings in my life. So just want to let you know that. And obviously, you know what I think about you. And shoot, if you ever get a job, please, give me a call, because you're
Brandon,
a guy that.
Are you at Texas Southern right now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Don't tell Johnny Jones I said that, by the way.
Okay.
But no, in all seriousness, though, I really do think the world of him. And again, he, I at my dad's funeral, there was a bouquet of flowers, and I know obviously who sent them. It was from the VCU basketball team, but I know KG was obviously behind that. So it just meant a lot. I have a question for you, because this kind of came up in another kind of one of these forums, and so part of that group that you mentioned, how important is the diversity? Because like I think in our industry, like we all meet coaches and we say, hey, coach, do you mind if I put you on my resume? Well, then you end up with 5 head coaches and a few high major assistant coaches, and so I heard this the other day, that in searches, they really want to see compliance directors. They really want to see deputy athletic directors and athletic directors, and just people in the community, and just different diverse groups of people. I guess, can you kind of shed some light on that? And do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Someone that's been involved in searches and just your experiences?
I agree with that 100%. But I'm a diversity chick. I subscribe to diversity and inclusion, equitable treatment, and fairness. And I also believe that you got to be willing to get outside of your circle if you're ever going to grow. If everybody in your circle looks like you, then you're in trouble. If everybody on your resume looks like you, that's a problem. I mean, I know they're not all as good looking as you, but you get what I'm saying. You got to have some people who have some different experiences, who can talk about you. And I don't think it's enough to have a name. You better make sure it's somebody who knows you, because you could have a person that you met one time, and because they had a name, you put them on your resume, and when they're called, they don't have a lot to say about who you really are. And so I think it becomes really important. That's why I'll go back to support staff people. It might be a good idea. Think about what it would say about you if an equipment manager was on your resume.
Absolutely.
Think about what it would say about you if a compliance person was, or the business operations person, or the director of marketing from a school. Now, if I had 5 people, I would make sure that I had more than one coach represented. But if I'm going to have 6 people, then I might have at least 2 people from other positions, at least 1 athletic director, and at least 1 other college administrator would be good. People aren't going to call 6 people. So I think if you're going to have references, 5 to 6 is more than enough.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
That's a very good question, Brandon. Very good question.
Good evening, Felicia. Charnay Cole Norman here, former pro player, current second-year assistant coach at University of Rhode Island. First off, again, I want to reiterate what everyone's saying. Thank you for sharing, not only tonight, but also your step-up programs have gotten me through this lockdown. I think I've subscribed to everyone. I've got a whole notebook of notes.
I was about to say, you look so familiar.
I've been on almost every one. So it got me through, and, it's helped me to, you talked a lot about professional development. I think that was the best thing, being able to learn from people that I respect and have competed against and seen, and looked up to my whole life. So I appreciate that first and foremost.
Absolutely.
My question is, you know, you talked about your lifelines. How do you kind of navigate relationships or networks with people who have kind of polarizing personalities? Does that make sense?
I do. I think polarizing is a very subjective word.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's polarizing to you and it may be normal to them.
Okay.
And I think sometimes we take people off of our prospect list before they have an opportunity to eliminate us. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that fear, we sometimes get in our mind, am I good enough to talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
Good enough to talk to them. You were born good enough to talk to them. I think all you have to do is simply approach them, and they respect you so much more when you do that, when you step outside of that, that comfort zone. I've heard a lot of coaches say, you know, people say they're not approachable, but they've never approached them.
Mm.
How do you know a person's not approachable that you've never approached and they said they didn't have time to talk with you? So I think that one of the things that's also important, they said that when you're trying to connect with people or you meet someone new, you need to hit them in 3 different ways. You need to be able to touch them 3 times before they really feel like they know you or they remember you, or 3 different times. So Sharni, say you met Coach Stringer on the road and you had a conversation with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what I would do is drop Coach Stringer a note. And then I might even tweet, hey, guess who I met today? At C. Vivian Stringer, what a pleasure it was to meet you. And then the next time I see her, I would be intentional about approaching her. Hey, Coach, can I get you a Coke? Or we're on the road recruiting or whatever. And the next time I see her, a lot of times what happens, we have these one-off dates. We have these first dates and we don't ever ask the person out again.
Okay.
I'm not going to remember you from one day. I've had a lot of first dates, but the person who keeps coming back is the person that I'm probably going to remember. And sometimes it's just a soft approach. Hey, Coach, my name is blah, blah, blah. A lot of times they're going to be impressed with the fact that you were bold enough to approach them. When you see them again, approach them again. And kind of like you do at recruiting, you just wear them down. But don't ever take yourself out of the game. Let someone else do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Felicia, it's about 8:15. You have been more than invaluable with your, and we want to respect your time. Can you leave us with a parting message that we can continue to grow as professionals? We would really, really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just saw a quote by Maya Angelou. And it was something that I was like, wow. I want to find it. I think she had said something about you'll never know just how amazing you can become if you become comfortable with just being normal. I know that's not the actual quote, but it was something to that degree. Mm-hmm. I think that so many times we discount who we really are. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit for what you know. And I think that we become so conscious of what other people think that we forget to consider the kind of impression that we really want to leave people with. I always like to think about, how do I want people to experience me? And I want you to experience me as an amazing individual who's willing to put other people first, who is competent, who's charismatic, who's an excellent communicator, but who's also humble enough to understand that it's not about me. And I think that if you find a way to make other people feel important, then they'll find a way to demonstrate your importance to them.
I think that's a without question, a powerful message. If you wouldn't mind, Felicia, if you could just give out your contact information so people can get in touch with you, because I know that people would love to have the opportunity to learn more from you and learn more about A Step Up.
I will do that. And as I do that, I would love it for you all to do this for me. One thing that I said tonight that resonated with you, that helps me to know what's a value that I say and what I can leave off next time. So, Hal?
A great exercise for Living Trophy tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could start it. You know, you said it right at the beginning. The thing that stood out to me is that you're a believer. I love that.
I don't even remember saying that. I think that it must just come out of me now, and I don't even.
At the very beginning.
Yep.
So yeah, that stood out to me.
I am. That is absolutely the thing that drives me. And I know that everything that happens in my life doesn't happen because of me, but in spite of me, because of who I serve. And I'm comfortable with knowing that he knows my name and that I'm a member of Elevation Church. And our
verdict?
Verdict. Yeah, we are at Elevation here, and our mission, church mission, is see what God can do through you. Lamont, what's resonated with you?
I think your the way you explained and went in depth about not being the best kept secret, and how you can self-promote without self-promote. That's something that for me, you know, I've struggled with that myself, similar to how Kyle kind of shared initially. But just hearing your thoughts on that really kind of hit home and resonated.
Thank you. Tyson.
How you doing? I'm Tyson Wheeler. I'm an assistant coach at UMass. I'm going into my second year. I've been in the business of coaching for 11 years now. I actually played at the University of Rhode Island. So
all-time assist leader, 712 assists.
Tyson, I'm so impressed. And guess what? You guys have a place that's right on the water. It's some kind of little military place. And it's a restaurant that is absolutely fantastic. Beautiful view right there on the water. Great food, a seafood spot.
And we're going to let Coach Sutton take us there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Coast Guard something. I think it's
the Coast Guard house.
Call it Coast Guard house.
Yeah.
Great spot. One thing I, took into consideration in what you said was 3 ideas to give your head coach to think about each week. That resonated with me because, this is my first year. I just finished my first year, and I tried to give my opinion this year and my thoughts and my help. And sometimes he listened, sometimes he didn't. But I think the more you do it, the more he'll feel comfortable with you as an assistant, and he'll value your opinion. So I think something that I learned, here tonight, obviously, was something that I'm going to try to do. Thank you very much.
I like it. Thank you, Tyson. Bill Phillips. I didn't know you were here, Bill, so good to see you.
Thank you. I was having serious Zoom issues. Don't know what happened, but about the 17th time I tried it, it worked. So glad I was able to catch the end of this. Thank you. Bill Phillips, I'm an assistant coach at the University of Delaware. I actually tracked down that Maya Angelou quote. It is, if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be.
That's it.
Bill, put that in the chat, please.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yep, no, that's a great one. So again, thank you. I think one of the things I took away was I liked the verbiage of don't go through the pandemic, grow through the pandemic. Something that I've tried to live, but I think definitely a phrase that I will use with our players and to help frame this, because obviously it's been challenging with everybody.
I actually heard it at Elevation Church. I heard maybe Michael Todd or somebody said that, and I was like, oh man, I love that. So thank you for being here, Bill. Thank you for your persistence.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Bill Fisher.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a great hour, Coach Sutton. This is always the best hour of my week. Always learning and growing here. So, yeah, for me, it was just kind of being fully invested and engaged in just development from leadership and professional and the emotional side of it. So, just being fully invested in the growth.
Thank you so much, Coach Fisher. Brandon.
So one thing you said that was really impactful, and I'm a firm believer in it, is you said don't go through the pandemic, grow through the pandemic, and I just love that, just the way that you phrased it, and the Maya Angelou quote. So just connecting Mike Lopez, who's actually another really impactful person on my life, and we actually only met a year ago. He was doing an interview last year with Kevin Eastman, someone you just mentioned his book. And he said, at the end of all Mike's interviews, he always asks, what's your legacy, or what do you want your legacy to be? And he asked Coach Eastman that, and Coach Eastman said, well, I think I'll just quote Maya Angelou. And he said, how do you leave a legacy? And he said, one person at a time. And I just thought that was awesome. And I can't thank you enough again. You're leaving a legacy. I know you just said you always think about how you want people to experience you. And I think the world of you, and I can't, thank you enough. I really appreciate your time and Coach Sutton for setting this up.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Big.
John Clifford.
Sorry, I'm late to this Zoom. Kevin, wrong number, but I still love him anyway. The one thing that resonated with me, and I apologize for being late, was just the first date. We've got a lot of first dates. So what I took that as, we got a lot of first dates, follow up, so you can get a second date. So I've been in the business for 27 years. Everybody calls me Cliff Warren. I'm currently the assistant coach at Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia. I've known Kevin Sutton for 30 plus years. Again, just a dynamite person. To heck with the coaching, to heck with the mentoring, just a dynamite person. And I've always learned, been able to share, been able to grow. And a lot of people on this Zoom call. Felicia, again, I've admired you from afar. I have not had the pleasure of getting to one of your step-up events. But as you know, I work for Rob Lanier, so I'm getting a step up or step into things every day from him.
Rob is one of our board members, and he speaks very highly of you, Cliff. He speaks. I didn't see the John Cliff. I was like, oh, Cliff, what? That's.
Yeah.
Thank you for serving.
I'll trim it down the next time. I'll trim it down.
No, thank you for serving with a great guy. And I would want to say this about the first date thing. A lot of people talk about following up. I think it's more important to follow through. A lot of people will follow up and make the ask for the second date. But then if they were listening, they'll follow through on the things that I said that mattered to me during that date.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Cliff, I apologize. That will not happen again.
It's okay.
I know you forgive me.
How about Hamlet?
Catamounts.
Yes. Hello, Felicia. How are you doing?
Hello, Mr. Tibbs.
Coach Sutton, how are you, man? Thanks for the wrong password. You forgot a number in there, but I still love you. You're my guy.
Absolutely. Just keep in mind.
I appreciate you inviting me to all these Zoom calls and having me a part of Living Trophies. And so for all the people that's on the call, hello. And if you don't know me, my name's Hamlet Tibbs. I'm an assistant coach at the University of Vermont. I just finished my 6th season. One of the many things that resonated with me was just when you talked about servant leadership and, seek to be the first. And I think that's something that's very important to me is, especially with everything that's going on in our society with, social injustice and everything and police brutality is, just taking action, taking a leadership role and set an example, for our student athletes and, because we are leaders and we're all role models. So that was something that really resonated with me.
Thank you so much, Hamlet. Jermaine.
Jermaine Kimbrough from Loyola, Chicago. Again, appreciate being on this call tonight. And I think, but one of the things that stuck out to me, one of my takeaways was, how do I want people to experience me? And for me, that has a lot to do with being a servant leader. Whether I'm dealing with our managers, administration, and I think 3 words that came with it was, you got to be competent, you got to be charismatic, and you got to be able to communicate. And, for me, it's all about touching people and loving on people, whether it's a manager, the last player on the bench, to every coach that's in our office. That's how I want, this program to experience me to the fullest. And and when they experience me, I want them to see, the spiritual side of me and what I believe in, and that's God. And I think that's the most inspirational thing you can really be to anyone. You can have influence, you can impact them, and you can be inspirational. And I think if I go in that right direction, I'm headed down the right path.
You absolutely are.
That's what I took from tonight.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jermaine. Sam, and then Sharni, and I think that'll be it.
So Sam Smith, a recent graduate from VCU working in sport operations. Thank you again. My biggest takeaway was your answer to my question, talking about what you do have and not talking about what you don't have, just being confident in what you can bring to the table.
Thank you, Sam. Sharni, and good luck to you. Sharni.
So Sharnae Zoll-Norman, URI women's basketball again. So the thing that resonated most to me was the 360 assessment. Being an only child, a lifelong point guard, and now an assistant coach, it's not always easy to take direction or take criticism, whether it be positive or negative. I've always been bossing people around. So being able to kind of understand how I'm coming off and how other people see me, no matter if that's, our administrative assistant or our head coach or even our players. I think it's very important to be as self-aware. And so the verbiage of 360 assessment allows me a way to approach people that I'm with.
That's good stuff. Thank you. Kelly, did you go, Kelly?
I did not. I was going to chime in here. Kelly Flaherty.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Our Lady of Good Counsel High School. I loved your use of the lifelines. I thought when you were going through the lifelines, a lot of them are very similar, but they're all specific and different in their own ways. For me, I tried to go through those and kind of see how I fill those roles for different people and how different people fill those roles for me. And basically wherever I have any holes, I'd like to be very intentional about kind of plugging those gaps and in an organic manner. I think that's very important, but a lot of those really resonated with me. So I appreciate you and thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining and for participating. Lamont, did you go?
I did.
Okay, great. Kevin Sutton, I'm passing it back to you. I have 28 minutes before my next Zoom call, so I think I'll eat dinner in between.
Oh, absolutely.
An absolute pleasure.
No, this has been fantastic, Felicia. We here at Living Trophies cannot thank you enough. We do view ourselves as, the ladles that pour into people's buckets. And we want to use our platform as professionals to impact as many lives we possibly can to create living trophies. We all want to win trophies, and we all do win trophies, but those trophies sit in a trophy case. But when you are the ladle and pour into people's lives, then you impact their lives. And that's what we do. And the people that are here on this, what I affectionately call them as my tribe, I'm proud to have personal relationships with all of them and to be affiliated with all of them. And now you have come on here and you have impacted and you have challenged us and you have given us nuggets to go off and to continue to be ladles, but be even better ladles because we're more prepared. I want to challenge all of us on here to continue to connect with one another, take care of one another, take care of ourselves, but more importantly, continue to reach out and be the leaders and the men and women that God have called us to be. And I just want to leave you with this thought. Always remember that that leadership is a privilege. And when you are in a leadership role, your influence will affect the trajectory of the people you lead and serve. Your leadership will affect their careers, their lives, and the lives of their family. So let's take our responsibility as being leaders very, very seriously. Okay. And when we do, let us continue to impact lives, okay, in a positive way and be, like I said, the men and women that God has called us to be. Let us be leaders. We need leadership right now. Let us be the ones that go out there and lead. I will continue to send out text messages where you can get all of the videos on Living Trophies YouTube site. All the videos will be there. And then I'll direct you with another text message with a link that goes to Sutton Living Trophies where we can get all the notes. Continue to not only come on, but continue to come on and with great ideas and great enthusiasm. I told Felicia, I told you when you come in here, you're gonna feel the vibe of this tribe, and you did, and that's why Lamont. That's why she was authentic. That's why you saw her perform, okay, and share in a way that you had not shared before because she felt the vibe from this tribe. So Felicia, I can't thank you enough. To the tribe, always a pleasure to have you. I am so impacted by you and so empowered. I can't wait every Thursday to come back on and have this opportunity to continue to share with you. Continue to be blessed, take care of yourselves, and always, lead. Be the leader that God's called you to be.
Yes. God bless.
God bless.
Appreciate you. Love you, Sut.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Coach.
Thank you. Bill Phillips, I'm glad you made it, bro.
Thanks, Coach.
I was trying them numbers the whole time. I tried both with the one, without the one.
Look, I
We
think
all did.
I think he gave us the wrong password. He gave us the wrong
I'm not
password because he wanted to see who
I'm
was
not
going
throwing
to push
anybody
through.
on the bus. I'm taking it, L. I'm taking it, Lamont.
Lamont, it's your fault, huh?
Not my fault.
Threw you right under the bus.
See, he wanted to see who wanted it.
No doubt.
It was the creative
Kev,
part.
I'm gonna give you credit though. I gave up. It was like 7:20. I looked at my phone one more time, and you said, "Keep trying." I tried it one more time, and it worked. I swear to God, it worked the next time.
Hey, 712. That's what you got to do, baby. Keep running the floor.
trying.
Keep running the floor. I got you. Keep running the floor.
I'll get you next time.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Keep shooting. Just keep shooting. It'll go in. Just keep shooting.
Keep shooting. Look,
Oh,
man,
man.
we
Thank you,
absolutely blessed, man. Okay, I appreciate
Good
it.
evening, guys.
Right.
See you guys later. I'm gonna text you, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, hit me up.
All right, fellas.
All right, have a good night.
Hamilton, you take good notes?
Coach Sutton, my guy.
Okay.
Of course. You know I got you.
Appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Let me know if I can help you in any way. Anything I can do for you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Hamlet.
Yep.
Ty Will, what's good, man?
Baby.
How you doing, brother?
Hi, Sam. How are you? I'm Tyson.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. I feel like I'm intruding. Oh my god. Everybody knows each
you're
other.
okay.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. All good guys. All guys that you need to know.
Seems like it. Yeah.
All
everybody's
light-skinned
great.
brothers.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you guys later.
All right.
All right, Ty.
Nice to meet you.
Later. Hamlet.
Hamlet, how'd it go? How'd it go?
Man, that was one of the best ones I've been a part of. Probably the best one, honestly. We've been on a lot. We've been on a lot of Zoom calls, and she was incredible.
She was.
She was incredible.
I've heard her several times, but I asked her, I said, you're going to feel the vibe from the tribe and then just go with it. And she said, okay. And she did.
She's just dropping a A lot of real gems she was dropping.
You know what she did? How creative and how thoughtful to go and contact Lamont Franklin, someone that has been on the Zoom, been a part of us from the beginning, and to do her research. How about that? Smart.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Smart.
For sure.
Smart. So I need both of you to make sure that you make that connection. Sam, you got the address, right?
Yep, I wrote it down.
Now let me tell you, she is a woman that is all about winning. Okay.
That's great.
She
Seemed like it.
Her format is different than most, and H, you know that her format is different, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to connect with. I've been, like she said, for 8 years I pursued her because I was looking at, like, okay, from my perspective, 8 years ago, I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I navigate this? How do I try to get this? And I was looking at it and I said, dang. And then I looked at some of the other professional development stuff. And I said, hers is really different. Hers is so much more inclusive, okay, in a number of different ways. And I'm like, hey, that's where I need to be. I need to be over there,
For sure.
And so she is really about the empowerment of women. That's why I think she told you what she told you. Well, first of all, it's the truth. And that's what I've been telling you, is that don't ever talk about what you don't have. Okay. Always talk about what you have, okay, with the pursuit of getting that. H, she's a rock star. She's just getting started in this business, okay?
Okay.
Sam, you're just starting. So no, you're not going to have the resume that other people have.
Right.
Okay, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But what you do have is this, and this is feel. This is feel. Like, my wife is a great teacher, and part of the reason why she's a great teacher, she has a tremendous feel for when to do this, when to do that. You know what I'm saying? Coupled with her, her textbook